So the VA loan can be used to buy your first home, or it can be used to kickstart an amazing financial future for yourself. In this video, we're going to be talking about the best ways that we think that you should use your VA loan and all the different areas for where you can focus on to take the best steps to making the VA loan as successful as it can be. Okay, so in my previous video, I explained what the VA loan was. If you haven't watched that video, then click up here to watch it first. In this video, I'm gonna expand kind of more on what the VA loan is and kind of how you should use it, because I think a lot of people underestimate the VA loan and undervalue it and don't understand the amazing potential that you can get from it. So number one, don't use your VA loan to buy your dream home. So the VA loan was set up so that veterans have a better opportunity to buy their first home, so it's easier for them. But that doesn't mean that you can only use it once, so you shouldn't just sit on it. You can use the VA loan more than once, and you can even have two open at the same time under certain circumstances. I'm gonna go into that in a later video. Like I said in my previous video, only 12% of veterans actually use their VA loan, which is a shame because it is a huge wealth builder. So with real estate, time is definitely on your side. The earlier you get it, the younger you'll be at not only paying off that mortgage completely and owning the house completely, but you'll get more equity at an earlier age. And that doesn't come with waiting to buy your dream home. So number two, talking about equity building. Every single month that you pay your mortgage, you're paying off a little bit of the actual principal of the loan. And the more principal you pay off, the closer you get to owning the home completely. And when all the principal is paid off, you own that house outright. Equity can be seen as a small ownership of the property. And when you pay off all that equity, then you own the house. A home loan is an amortized loan, which means that most of the payments that you're making in the beginning are going towards interest and not the actual principal of the loan. All of that interest is being paid towards the bank and is not actually going towards the equity of your home. That's how amortized loans work. This flips towards the end of the loan. And interest is the money that you're paying to the bank to actually, for them to let you borrow the money. I think everyone understands what interest is. So the cool thing about building equity is that a portion of what you're paying in your mortgage or your rent, if you want to look at it that way, every single month is not just going to waste like how it would be for rent. A small portion of it in the beginning, like I said, is going towards actual equity in your property that you own. It's staying in something that you own, so you're actually keeping a portion of that money every single month. That's gonna build your net worth. And you can use this equity in two different ways. Number one, you can either take all that equity when you sell the property and you're able to recoup a good portion of all the payments that you made, whereas if you rented, you wouldn't be able to do that. Or how we think that most people should use it and how we like to use it for ourselves is doing a cash out refinance. So that way you can take all the money that you have in that equity and leverage it to buy more real estate. But that's only if it actually makes sense to do that. We'll go into those details in like a later video. But even if you don't do either of those things, you're still winning in the end because you're getting closer to owning something. Yeah, it's 30 years, but you're getting closer to owning something. So at the end of those 30 years, you have something to show for it instead of not really anything to show for it like if you rented for the next 30 years. Number three for that, you can save a bunch of money while building this equity. The best way to do that is by buying a house that has more than one bedroom, like 2 or 3 bedrooms, and renting those bedrooms out to, say other military members. So you rent out those other bedrooms and you live in one, and you can effectively live rent-free while they're paying down your mortgage. I know multiple people who do this, who rent out their other bedrooms and they're able to save all the money that they would be paying on rent, and they're able to put it towards better investments such as, other pieces of real estate or stocks. Or they're able to pay off more of the principal of their loan at an earlier time, so that way they can cut off years at the back end of their loan. With how amortized loans work, if you're able to pay a lot more towards your principal in the beginning, you can shave off years and years of the back end with a small amount of payment. So I get that you might not want to have roommates, or that if you're married, it might be inconvenient because, it might kill your Tinder game. Not necessarily in that order, unless you're like one of those weird military couples. But the amount of money that you can save by not paying rent will outweigh that inconvenience in the long run, I promise you. Okay, number four, buy in an area that is likely to appreciate. While you should never invest just for appreciation, appreciation is one of those things that can build even more equity over time. So if you make a smart decision by buying in an area that's going to appreciate, that can grow the equity that you have in this property over time. And that makes what we talked about earlier even more powerful, because you can use all of that appreciation that you got as equity to leverage towards other investments or to make a lot of money for when you sell this property. So these types of properties can be found in, up and coming neighborhoods or like on the outskirts of already popular neighborhoods. And number 5, you want to hold that property even when you move and rent it out for more than what your mortgage is, and collect that difference and put it in your pocket as cash flow. And if you can do that with enough properties, then you can live off of those cash flows from all your different properties, and you don't have to work a day job if you don't want to. So the best ways to make sure that you're gonna be able to rent out this property for more than what your mortgage for, number 1, don't overspend on the property and make sure you're getting a good deal. We're gonna break down those numbers in a future video, so if you wanna see that, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so that way you're notified for when that comes out and you can learn how to do that. Number 2, you wanna get a property that's going to warrant a higher rent. And the best way to do that is by having a property that has more than 1 bedroom. You don't wanna buy a property that is more expensive and is gonna have a higher rent, right? Just because a property has a higher rent, that might mean that you're paying more on that mortgage because you bought that house for so much more money. If you bought a house that was right on the beach, yeah, it's gonna have a higher rent, but how much did you spend buying that house? So the easiest way to do that is by getting a house that doesn't have just 1 bedroom. 2 or 3 bedrooms is the best, because when you go to rent that out, it's gonna be divided by the amount of people who are really looking to rent that out as like roommates, right? If you have a 1-bedroom house, then that's more than that person has to pay per month. If you have 2 or 3 bedrooms, now those people are looking at it as like, okay, well, we just divide that by 2 or 3 for each of us, and those numbers that they're paying for rent individually look more appealing to them, which makes it easier for you to actually rent out. And number 3 with that, you wanna use the IRRRL, which stands for interest rate reduction refinance. The IRRRL stands for interest rate reduction refinance loan. Fucking hard to say. You may see it abbreviated, or you may see it referred to as like a streamlined VA loan or a streamlined refinance. So these loans are typically used to reduce the borrower's interest rate, which is going to lower your monthly payment. So with the IRRL, I'm gonna read real quick like what the criteria is for that, just so that you know what it is, because it's a really powerful tool. So for that interest rate reduction loan, you need to make sure that you previously lived in that property. So if you have already moved out and you're renting it to someone else, that's still okay. You just had to have lived in there at some point. So at least 210 days, or about 7 months, have passed since the first payment on the current VA loan was made, or you need at least 6 full payments that have been made to the VA loan being refinanced. So pretty much if you've owned this property for at least 7 months, then you're eligible for this interest rate reduction, which I totally recommend, because what that's gonna do is it's gonna lower your monthly payment, and it's gonna make it even closer for you to be able to, breaking even. And when I say breaking even, I'm gonna go into that in a later video. It doesn't mean what you think that it means for real estate. Or it's gonna allow you to, get even more money in your pocket every month from cash flow. It will also make you pay way less in interest over time for that loan in total. So our take on the VA loan. First, something that people need to understand is that not all investments are created equal. We feel, and a lot of people agree with us, that real estate though is one of the best investments that you can make. There's so many factors that go into all these different investments, but overall real estate is one of those things that it's one of the easiest things that we can do, and for your average person, and it's really going to perform really well over time, and you're going to build a lot of net worth for yourself, and you're gonna make a lot of money doing it. And the VA home loan is an easy access tool for you guys to start doing that right now. But what's probably the easiest way for you to succeed using your VA loan long-term is by doing these things. And if you haven't done them, then it doesn't mean that you can't be successful, but these things just make it a little bit easier. So number 1, you're probably gonna wanna have BAH. If you don't have BAH, you can still use your VA loan, but money's gonna be kind of tight, and you better make sure that you're on top of your personal finances. Number 2, make sure that you have at least 2 bedrooms. 3 bedrooms or 4 is even better, right? Because think about it, if you're able to live in one of these bedrooms, which you should be doing, and renting those other 2 or 3 out, then what that's gonna do is it's gonna make that total mortgage payment or the rent look less than what it would be perceived by these people if you had a lower amount of bedrooms, right? Because each one of these people are paying less in rent every month. So it's gonna be easier for you to rent out, and you're gonna be able to charge enough so that way it covers your mortgage. But make sure you're being reasonable with this, don't price gouge people and start charging them out the ass through this stuff. With that money that you're gonna be saving by not paying rent, make sure you do something responsible for it. Put it in another investment. If you don't know where to start, then watch some other videos, or save it up to, put towards other real estate, or at a minimum, pay down the principal of your loan. Make sure that payment doesn't go towards interest and principal. Make sure it's going just towards the principal of your loan so you can pay it down even faster. Number 3, don't overspend, and try to buy on like the outskirts of popular neighborhoods that are expanding, or areas that are up and coming so you can get that added value of appreciation. Number 4, use the IRRL, because that's gonna lower your monthly payments when you refinance, and it's gonna make it a easier opportunity for you to be able to, like I said, break even or make even more money on the cash flow from when you eventually rent it out. If you still have tenants in there and if you still live in there, now your monthly payment's gonna be going down, and now what you're spending on your mortgage is getting even lower. So the amount of money that you're making from that goes up. You're not paying rent. I wanna live rent free, that'd be sweet. And you can take all that money and do something really good with it. But that comes with using the IRRL. I don't really see any reason why someone should not do that. There are some certain circumstances where it doesn't make sense, but it's gonna lower your interest rate and lower those payments as a result. It's a freaking awesome tool. And last, number 5, with the easiest way for you to succeed using your VA loan, is don't buy a condo. I bought a condo. I'll probably never buy a condo again. I know lots of people who have bought condos, and in some areas it's unavoidable, right? Because the price point of some of these houses is just too high for it to really make sense to not buy a condo. But the problem with buying a condo is that you have to pay HOA dues. HOA dues are payments that go towards the HOA for the community that you live in order to pay for, general upkeep type things, right? It can go towards, maintaining the lawn, going towards like your water bill, going towards, the pool of money needed to fix a roof or something like that. The problem with that is that you're probably gonna pay more in these HOA dues than if you were just paying for normal upkeep for a property. And some of these HOAs can be a fucking pain in the ass, like mine is. But the worst part about HOA payments is that they're always gonna be there, right? So even when you pay that property off, you're still gonna have to be paying HOA dues. And if you paid any other property off, you're still gonna be having to pay, taxes, insurance, upkeep for the property. So those costs aren't going to go away, but paying HOA dues on top of that can, make it a little bit harder for you to break even or have an excess cash flow at the end. And it can kind of take away from your bottom line with all this stuff and make it a little bit harder for you. But, like I said, sometimes it just doesn't make sense to buy a single family home or a multi-family home and not a condo. If you bought a condo, it's totally okay. I still have mine. I'm renting it out. It all worked out. It's a little bit easier to make all these numbers work if you don't have a condo. So if you have any questions about this stuff, or you have any suggestions, or you don't know how to use this stuff, please comment them below. We'll definitely answer, give you the best knowledge that we have. We've done all these things that we've talked about. And you're gonna kind of see that with a trend with some of these videos, is that a lot of the things that we talk about are things that we've messed up in the past. But that's kind of how you succeed in business, right? Is you take action, you mess it up, you learn from those mistakes, you analyze what you did, and you try to not make them again. Everyone messes up, but we want to talk about some of the things that we've fucked up, so that way hopefully you guys don't fuck up the same things. And to give you a little bit of transparency into like what we've done and how it worked out for us. And I did go over a lot of information in this video, but I really wanted to cover how I think people should use the VA loan and how you should really use it for wealth generation and using it to get future investments, future properties, and really grow your wealth over time and get closer to that early retirement. If you're not taking action on the VA loan, then you should really be looking into it to try and use it within the next year or two. There's all these programs within the VA loan, like the IRRL program, or doing a cash out refinance. and they can make it even more exponential growth in your financial future.